Hey, South Atlantic Council members, this is Julia Bird, the Citizen Science Program Manager, and Meg Withers, our Citizen Science Project Coordinator, and I are going to tag team this presentation to provide y'all a quick update on what's been happening in the Citizen Science Program over the past few months. We'll be providing an update on the 3 projects we have currently underway: SMILE, FISHstory, and SAFMC Release. So we'll kick things off with the SMILE project, which is led by the Reef Environmental Education Foundation. And it's a project that partners with recreational divers to collect linked information on some key data limited species using laser mounted underwater Olympus cameras. So the SMILE project is wrapping up its 3-year pilot that really focused a lot on developing the camera technology and the methodology for recreational divers to use in field testing that, as well as developing an artificial intelligence workflow to help kind of analyze the photos and get links more quickly from those photos in the future. Although the 3-year pilot is wrapping up, we're really excited to share that an additional year of funding has been secured for SMILE. Additionally, members of the REEF team presented the SMILE methodology to the Council's SSC at their April meeting this year. The project was really well received, and the SSC provided some really helpful feedback on methodologies. And then additionally, the REEF team has been able to partner with Colorado State University to conduct a survey to try to better understand the motivations and barriers of recreational divers for their participation in the SMILE project. Jen Locke, who is with REEF, did a great presentation on the SMILE pilot project as part of the Council's October seminar series. There's a link in the presentation for you to check out if you want to learn more about the SMILE project. Next, we'll provide an update on the FISHstory project. This project is using historic dock photos to gather information on the catch and size of fish from a time when catch monitoring programs either weren't in place in the South Atlantic or were just getting started. So the FISHstory project has 3 components, and we wanted to provide you guys an update of project findings to date for each of those components. The first component is archiving these historic fishing photos. So to date, over 2,300 photos have been archived from the South Atlantic from the 1940s to 1990s as part of FISHstory. We're always looking to expand our FISHstory photo archive, and right now we're really focusing a lot on trying to find more photos from the Carolinas to try to increase the number of photos in our archive from that part of the South Atlantic. The second component of the project focuses on kind of analyzing those photos. And so we are doing that through the online crowdsourcing platform Zooniverse, where volunteers are trained to help us identify and count the fish and people within those photos. To date, we've had over 4,000 volunteers that have analyzed 1,950 photos. So those are all of the photos in our archive that can be used for analysis. And so now that the Zooniverse volunteers have analyzed all those photos, we're now working with our validation team to help validate the species identifications and counts within a subset of those photos. And I wanted to share a little bit more information about the validation team. So our validation team hadn't been active in the FISHstory project since its pilot. And so we reactivated the team back in August. And now we have 23 members on the validation team. It's a mix of fishermen and scientists. And they all went through kind of a 1-hour training session back in August to reactivate within the project. So the validation team is using Zooniverse to verify the species identifications and counts within the photos. And so now we're able to compare some of the Zooniverse volunteer data with some of our validation team data. And each week that the validation team is active, we send them weekly updates on their progress. And if you look closely on the image on the right-hand side of the screen, you may recognize some names. We have many of our kind of state partners, some of our Snapper Grouper AP members, and even one of our council members, Jimmy Hull, who's an active member of the validation team. And additionally, for the Zooniverse component of the project, our analytical partners at NC State have been busy kind of analyzing the Zooniverse volunteer data and comparing it to our validation team. Then the third component of FISHstory is estimating the size of some key species in our photos and developing length compositions. So excited to share that all of the king mackerel and red snapper that are in our currently archived photos have been measured, and we've been able to produce length compositions for both. As you guys heard back in June, we were really excited to have the FISHstory red snapper length compositions recommended for use in the CDAR 90 South Atlantic red snapper data workshop by the data workshop panel. And then additionally, wanted to let you know that we're updating the king mackerel length compositions now, and they're going to be shared for consideration at the next CDAR South Atlantic king mackerel assessment, which is scheduled to get underway in 2027. And finally, we wanted to share some of the red snapper length composition information from the FISHstory project. So this graph will show you length compositions by decades. So if you look in the 1950s, you can see the size of fish most frequently found in the photos are around 12 to 14 inches. You still see kind of a larger fish within the photo archive as well. If you look at the 1960s, again, you see this same kind of peak at 12 to 14 inches, and you're starting to see a little bit fewer of these larger size classes within the photos. And then if you move into the 1970s, again, you see this same peak at 12 to 14 inches, but even fewer of these larger fish. If you guys are interested in checking out more of the length composition information we were able to pull together for red snapper from the FISHstory project, you can check out our CDAR 90 data workshop working paper number 16. There's a link in the left-hand corner of the screen here where you can check out annual length compositions and length compositions by time block. And now I'm going to hand things off to Meg Withers to give you an update on the SAFMC Release project.
I don't know.
That is a honker.
Holy cow.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Oh my god.
Look at all the
There's
fish.
some bait fish.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Holy crap.
Holy wow.
Hey, that was yours.
Holy crap.
Oh my god.
Okay, so now we're going to transition into the SAFMC Release project. And for anyone who wants to learn more about the project after this presentation or find some of the resources that we talk about, the QR code on the screen will take you to our webpage. Diving into some updates, participants are continuing to record information about their released shallow water grouper and red snapper in the free SciFish app. We're continuing to prioritize outreach, and we've been developing some new content for the project, which we're really excited to share with you. We have some updates in terms of sharing information from the SAFMC Release project at the CDAR 90 Data Workshop. And then we also have updates for you in terms of how the Sea Grant South Atlantic Release Rodeo went this year. So diving into some new training and outreach content for the project. Earlier this year, we were able to go out on a media trip with Sea Grant and Z-Man. This was a trip that was organized by Grayson Webb, who's the Sea Grant Reef Fish Fellow at the time. And she invited us to be a part of the media trip. And because of that, there's some information about SAFMC Release included in the final video product from that trip. So a big thank you to Grayson and Sea Grant for inviting us to be a part of that trip. We also had 2 SAFMC Release focused content creation trips in 2025. And I just want to take a second to give a shout out to the 2 captains who took us out on those trips because they facilitated some great days on the water for us and helped us get some really useful footage. So a big thank you to them. We're able to use content from these content creation trips in a variety of ways. That can include videos and photos for project promotion, reels for social media, as well as new training videos, which we're excited to share with you here. We have a new SAFMC Release entry demonstration video that goes through an entry from start to finish on a fishing trip. And that video is officially available on the Council's YouTube channel. And then finally, we will soon have a call to action video for the project. On our content creation trip this past October, we were able to head out with 2 SAFMC Release participants who were able to share their perspectives on the project. And so we are excited to share that video with you once it's available. Now diving into some of the data that we provided during the data workshop for CDAR 90 that happened earlier this year. We presented length information, which we wanted to show here because you heard in June that our length data were recommended for use in the assessment, but we didn't show you any of that data at the time, so we wanted to provide a little bit of a taste of the data. So this is looking at the length composition for released red snapper that were recorded with the SAFMC Release project between 2022 and 2024. Our time frame starts in 22 because that's when red snapper were added to the project. Initially, this plot was made in millimeters because those were the units used in the assessment, but we've also provided inch information here in case it makes it easier to interpret the plot. So looking at the lengths of the red snapper recorded with the project, you could see that we're getting fish about as small as 11 inches, as large as about 38-ish inches, and then the most common length of the red snapper that were recorded with the project were about 20 inches. If you would like to see more of the data that we provided during the data workshop or see more data visualizations, you can find our working paper on the CEDAR 90 Data Workshop webpage. So now jumping into the Sea Grant South Atlantic Release Rodeo, we're going to be sharing some updates about how this new initiative went. But before we do, we just wanted to provide a quick refresher on the motivation behind the rodeo as well as its structure. So the rodeo was proposed by the Sea Grant Reef Fish Fellow at the time, Grayson Webb. And the idea came about because Sea Grant was looking to get more bass fishing practices gear in fishermen's hands. SAFMC Release at the same time was looking to get more entries that could be used for data validation. And so it seemed like a great opportunity to team up. So a quick refresher on the rodeo structure. It ran from May 1 to July 31st this year. Participants could earn up to 4 entries into Sea Grant giveaways per month if they included photos in their SAFMC Release submissions. They could double their Sea Grant giveaway entries if they included photos of their fish on a ruler or next to an item of known length, allowing for length validation. And then at the end of each month during the challenge period, Sea Grant would draw 2 names out of a hat, and those people would earn Best Fishing Practices gear from Sea Grant. And then at the end of the entire challenge period, there was kind of a final grand giveaway, and that was made possible by items that were donated to Sea Grant from Hadrell's Point Tackle in Charleston, South Carolina, as well as Sequelizer. So when we dive into some metrics, it looks like the first year of the Sea Grant South Atlantic Release Rodeo was a success. We looked at SAFMC Release entries during the challenge months in 2025 and compared that information to averaged information during those months in 2023 and 2024. And when we did that, we saw that we had a 28% increase in the number of submissions. But not only that, the number of submissions with photos doubled, and the number of submissions with photos that could be used for length validation almost tripled. Sea Grant also met a lot of its objectives. They were able to distribute Best Fishing Practices gear to randomly selected participating fishermen. They received positive feedback from fishermen on both the challenge structure and the Sea Grant giveaways, and they built meaningful relationships with members of the fishing community. So overall, the first year of the Sea Grant South Atlantic Release Rodeo was a success, and we're excited to share that it's looking like we're going to be able to hold the rodeo again next year. And that's it for our update. Please scan the QR code on the left to visit our Citizen Science Program webpage to keep up with the program and our projects, or go to the link down below. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Julia and I have put our contact information on the slide. And now, for the moment that we've all been waiting for, it's time to reveal what I caught.
That is a honker.
Holy
Oh
cow.
my god.
Oh my.
Oh my my god.
Look at all the
There's
fish.
some bait fish.
Yeah.
with it coming up.
Oh my goodness.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Wait, that was yours.
Holy crap.
Oh
Oh
my god.
God.